Hello. Why is that still going off? Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm Natalie. Oh, okay. Do you hear that, Shelby?
I heard it through your headphones.
Can you guys tell me in the chat if you can hear me talking twice? Hold on. I think I might know why. Let me get rid of this. Okay. Do you hear it?
I hear it through your headphone, but you just turned it off. So now
this one, but not this one. Okay. All right. I think we're not good. What's going on?
Uh-oh.
Timothy, so you can hear me like an echo? Okay, I got to figure this out quick.
I hear only once. Oh, no. Other people are saying, I'm not hearing double. I only hear once. You sound good.
Yeah.
No echo. So I think that's just headphones, unfortunately.
All right. So nobody else can hear an echo. All right. This is going to make me crazy.
Be super distracting.
Yeah, it's a weird lag. It's like it's on in two places. Bear with me, chat. Talk amongst yourselves. See, I can totally hear it. All right, no echo. So we're just going to...
No headphones.
No headphones. So hopefully I won't be too loud or too quiet. You guys will have to tell me. Usually with the setup I have, I need something in my ear to tell me. It's got to be coming from this.
Yeah, because we can still hear it. Can you turn it down?
Yeah, but that's my mic. See?
Yeah.
That's weird. All right. So if in the chat, you could just kind of keep an eye on the sound for me and let me know that it's all good. Welcome. Hello, everybody. I'm Natalie, and this is Scientology Life After a Cult. Hip hip hooray for a cult-free day, as I like to say. Now, what I do here is I share what happened with my family in 35 years of being in Scientology, 3 generations, but most importantly, how we escaped from the cult. We are going to share quite a bit today about several things going on. And today I'm excited because my daughter Shelby is here to help me break it down.
Hi.
All right. Can you guys hear Shelby okay?
Testing.
All right. You both sound wonderful and looking lovely as always. Thank you. I've got the menopause fan going full blown. Shelby's actually cold.
Yeah.
But we're going to get through this. Now, Shelby has not seen the videos that I'm going to share with you because one of the things that we're going to talk about are some leaked Scientology videos out of Austin that Aaron over at Growing Up in Scientology put on his channel. So we're going to watch those and react to those. I've seen them. Shelby has not. So
right.
I think you're in for a treat, Shelby.
Looking forward to it. A little nervous, honestly.
Make sure you're close to the mic.
Okay. There we go.
All right. Now, also, we're going to talk about what's been happening in terms of the protests in Clearwater, over in Hollywood, Hollywood Testing Center, everything that's going on there, including another huge way that Scientology has confirmed their cultiness. So let's jump into this. I want to say hello to everybody in the chat and everybody who's not in the chat. Hey, Dip Me and Glitter, thank you for being here. Kelly, the scrapbooker. Mark Murphy, the Bali Songs, REM Arts. Oh, my other daughter. Hey, Kelsey.
Hello.
Robin, Jamie, hello to see all of you. If you're catching this on the replay, I would love to hear where you are listening from and what you think about everything as we go along and what questions you have. Oh boy, though, I'm sweating. The menopause fan is not doing it today. It's 30 degrees below zero here in Minnesota. So we have the
wind chill.
With the wind chill. So, but with the heat going, it just feels extra hot here right now. All right. If you have any questions as we go along, especially when we get to some questions for Shelby, you could put in all caps question followed by your question. That would be absolutely fabulous and would help me find it here. And again, if you're catching this on the replay, I want to hear from you too. I still want you to participate, even if you cannot catch this live. Thank you so much to my moderators for being here and helping me keep on track. All right, let's start. Now, in the description of this video, you're going to find links to all the videos that I'm going to talk about. Let's start at the Hollywood Testing Center. Hollywood Testing Center. That's where Scientology Audit Streets LA is. You'll find Jessica Palmadessa, Confident Chris, and many other people on TikTok and YouTube who have been live streaming the shenanigans of Scientology, trying to prevent people from going in as well by letting them know it's a cult and educating them on the abuses of Scientology. And there were a few highlights that stuck out to me about this. And as we get through this, if there's something that you're like, hey, you forgot about this, that was a really good highlight for you, let me know in the chat or let me know in the comments. First off, it was Jessica Palmadessa's birthday, which I thought was really cool. She got to celebrate it. People sent, I think, cake. They sent cookies. There were balloons. So it was kind of really festive that way, which I thought was really cool. There's nothing like being able to get out there and expose Scientology and celebrate your birthday at the same time. Earlier in the day, Confident Chris, if you follow him, he is also on YouTube, and Jessica Palmadessa. Again, links to their videos are in my description. They went during the day over by the blue buildings, over by the hospital, in search of Scientology recruiters, and they found them. You probably know that at the Hollywood Testing Center, where a lot of recruiting goes on for Scientology, there hasn't been a lot of that going on because they've been out there letting people know it's a cult, es una secta, and so on and so on. So I thought it was really, well, it sounds weird to say, I thought it was so fun, but I did. It was fun that they actually went to the other location and found Scientology recruiters there and had an interaction with them that went fine. They do the usual thing, walk around, pretend like they're like the people who were being critical of what they're doing are not there. So that really kind of kicked off the day. And then they went back later to the Hollywood Testing Center, and Scientology Audit Streets LA was there. It was really festive until there was this girl who some people were saying, oh, it was just odd. She claimed to be 14 years old, and she was yelling and screaming obscenities and even the N-word, which really made it seem like she was just trying to get people's streams shut down, especially on TikTok. It's really strict. I don't know if you know this, Shelby. Any of that happens, boom, it gets shut down. And even when people were talking to her saying, hey, can you like not do that? She just started ranting and yelling about being 14, and which is kind of odd too, because someone said they saw her around the corner downing a whole bottle of what looked like the alcohol. Not that,
Doesn't mean she's not 14.
No, yeah. Exactly. But I think it definitely just adds to the like, really? Is that the truth? Is that really the truth? It was very odd. So was she some type of Scientology operative? Don't know. Was she maybe someone who's from the area and came and is just obnoxious like that? That could be true too. This is just what happened. Now, the biggest highlight of last night in Hollywood at the Hollywood Testing Center was once again, Scientology called in a false police report. This time, some days ago, if you'll remember, they called in to the police and said that there was a kid with a bomb, which was not true. It was totally a false report. This time it was that somebody was going to set the building on fire. I'm not even joking. They called that into the police. And what was kind of interesting about that, though, is that Scientology Audit Streets LA, Jessica Palmadessa, Confident Chris was there, and some other live streamers. They went around the corner from the building. What did they find? They walked right into a private meeting with the LAPD and Scientology and security from Scientology. What they were discussing, what was going on, we don't know, but that meeting, interesting, fell apart after people showed up with their cameras. And this is when it was found out about this false alert, false report to the LAPD. Once again, resources are being wasted. Once again, this is a Scientology tactic so that they can paint themselves as this victim. They make these things up. So that happened. And Shelby, I don't think do you watch any of this on YouTube?
Yeah, so far, yeah.
So this is all new to Shelby.
Yeah, drama.
Fantastic. Oh, it's total drama like you've never known. Like you've never known. Your sister and I have really kind of got into watching it.
Oh yeah, it sounds like a reality show.
It does.
It is. It's reality.
It does. It does. It's just Scientology clowning and acting a fool over and over and over and over again and shooting themselves in the feet. Sad, but hilarious at the same time. So all that's going on over in Hollywood at the testing center, at the blue buildings, because now the TikTok crew, and not all of them are TikTok, a lot of them are on YouTube as well. The live streamers are kind of dividing and conquering. So you'll see streams where they're by the blue buildings, where they're by the testing center, and where they're at Celebrity Center, where the Manor Hotel was. The blue buildings are where the Sea Organization members live, where they eat. It's also where higher level Scientology services are delivered. When I was in the Sea Organization, I worked out of the blue buildings there. And when Shelby was there to go into the Sea Organization 14, and I had to go get her because they weren't going to let her go, that also was the blue building.
Yeah, I was living in there.
Yeah. In fact, when you're going down L. Ron Hubbard Boulevard and L. Ron Hubbard Way, when you're going down L. Ron Hubbard Way, there are seats and things out there and like a walkway going in. That is where I parked my butt to wait for them to release my daughter. I think I was there for what, 2 weeks?
Yeah. It was 2 weeks.
Shelby and I talk about that in an earlier video. Let's take this question here. Anne, thank you very much for your super chat. Natalie, I'm also a 53-year-old mom of 3. But a never in. I'm Catholic, so I have my own issues. LOL. You're amazing and a joy to listen to. Thank you for your honesty. You have a friend in Boston. Oh, hey, thank you. You have a friend in Minnesota.
That's right.
All right. So that kind of for me was like, in a nutshell, what I felt was going down in Hollywood last night during the day and then again later. So let's jump over to Clearwater. Now, I don't think you know about this at all. I don't think I've told you. Aaron from Growing Up in Scientology is taken to the streets. He is Aaron in the streets in Clearwater. And the reaction of Scientology is absolutely hilarious.
I bet it's like really upsetting them.
I don't doubt that at all. But for a group that promotes to their own members that they can take a course and to learn to confront and shatter suppression, they just run away, which is very, very funny. But Aaron actually reached a few Scientologists when he was out. He spoke to, I think, 2 or 3 different Scientologists, just asking them, hey, what do you think about the Danny Masterson situation? Do you think he should be declared a suppressive person, or do you think that he could be rehabilitated? I mean, it sounds like a logical question, and one that I would be curious too as to how Scientologists would see this. But as we know, they don't talk about this because the first rule in Scientology is don't talk about Scientology or what's going on within it, especially something as horrific as what Danny Masterson did and is currently in prison for.
That's like a great question to have asked. I mean, even if they don't answer it to him, that might get them thinking,
Yeah, exactly. If they didn't know about it before, maybe they find out then after he brings it up to them. So a couple Scientologists did speak to him. And the first one, I think, was this older gentleman who, my heart just broke because he was really older. And I have a link to the video so you can see the whole thing. He, was having a hard time getting down the stairs, and he was waiting for the bus to go back to where he stays. And Aaron came up and asked him what he thought about the Danny Masterson, blah, 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 right? And the older gentleman, I think he was a little confused. I'm not sure he understood or knew who Danny Masterson was, but before he could really give a clear answer, in comes, it's like the Men in Black. This guy in a suit who was obviously security, just shows up and whisks him away. And I didn't even see the security guy say anything. Like he just went up, just like, was just body routing him back into the building, the older guy. And, then he had to go all up the stairs and dip me in glitter. Yes, I felt so bad. I felt so bad for him too. I did. So he gets whisked off by security. And he has to stay in the building because they can't be outside when Aaron's outside. And once again, it was like this dispersal of Scientologists, right? And anyone I'm amazed he was able to talk to, and I'm pretty sure it was 3 Scientologists. And the same thing happened. This other guy comes out of the building, same thing. Aaron's asking him, "What do you think about Danny Masterson?" Blah, blah, blah. And he was really blunt in his questioning too. And the guy starts kind of catching on, like, "Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. I don't think I should be talking here." And the third set of people, it was the same thing. Someone stops because, Aaron's friendly, and he's approaching them in a very friendly way and saying, "Hey, can we talk about this? I want to talk about a Crimenon issue." Crimenon is a Scientology that gets L. Ron Hubbard technology into prisons. And so it would stand to
What a
reason.
genius way to start that conversation, to just use the Scientology language already.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It kind of just makes it safe for them to communicate because they don't think that you're someone who's not in Scientology if you're talking about Crimenon.
Yeah.
It kind of just catches you off guard, I think. And it didn't totally seem to work that way.
When I was at Flag, there were several times where we were bused from where I was taking courses to just across the street to where we were eating, because that's when the big articles were coming out from the Tampa Bay Times, and they didn't want us to see like any local newspapers. We weren't allowed to go to the Starbucks or anything like that, and yeah, security was everywhere. Like we couldn't actually walk past a certain perimeter even if we tried, because we'd be stopped by security. So I'm sure that's what was going on here as well.
No doubt. So what if it was mealtime? And let's say somebody like Aaron was outside, but you needed to go for meals. What would happen?
They would shut down the whole base, and they would take you from where you were working and bus you across the street, so that you were going door to door, even though, again, it was across the street. So they would take you door to door, so there'd be no opportunity to see anyone or see any protesters or anything like that.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think they would take us around about the way so that we wouldn't see the protests. And I vaguely remember maybe them saying there were SPs around or something like that, but we had no idea what kind of message they were spreading.
I was curious as to what they tell the Scientologists inside. Usually it's their suppressive people or squirrels that are out there, because that is kryptonite to Scientologists, being a suppressive person.
They might say like, I think they might have even said or they said we weren't allowed to go to local shops, but I don't remember why. And knowing what I know now is because an article had come out and they didn't want us to run into the newspapers.
They used to, I've heard of Scientologists going around to different places where you could purchase a newspaper and purchasing all of them when there would be a story about Scientology in there. Of course, it was a story exposing Scientology. And
sounds like it incentivizes the newspapers to write stories about that if they're going to buy all of them.
No kidding. So they buy them all up, and probably because I imagine that, Dictator David Miscavige has some type of vision board, right? He wants to stick these articles on it. Or a scrapbook, right? Maybe they're scrapbooking. Maybe the Office of Special Affairs likes a good scrapbook. Who doesn't like a good scrapbook? And when you scrapbook, you often need more than one copy. So I don't know, maybe it was just a scrapbook. Maybe buying up all the newspapers all over Clearwater when there's an article about Scientology in it is more about scrapbooking than Scientology trying to hide what is there and forget that the internet exists. Let's buy up all the newspapers, forget that anybody can go online.
Yeah, but they're taught not to go online.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. They're taught not to. They are fully indoctrinated not to go online. All right. I digress a bit. Where were we here? So Aaron speaks to a couple, like 3 Scientologists. They get whisked away by security who they look different from the security in Hollywood. They seem like, well, they wear suits. They look a little bit more together. They look a little bit more like the Secret Service. That's the vibe that I got, is they had a real Secret Service vibe. And maybe that's what they're going for. Maybe that's their brand. Maybe that's what they're trying to do. Maybe that's what they're inspired by. Or maybe they're inspired by the movie Men in Black. And you always need to be on guard and watching out for those aliens who could be showing up. So I feel like security at the Flag Land Base, you gotta walk the walk. You gotta have the look. You gotta talk the talk. And I think that's all they're doing. Yeah, less Rent-A-Cop vibe for sure. All right, now they once again held people in the building. So Aaron would walk by and nobody's allowed to come out. And then behind Aaron, they would like shoo people out several at a time. And they were able to go to different buildings. Did you ever experience that, Shelby?
Yeah, yeah, the few people at a time is what is reminding me of what happened as well. Because for one, not everyone's going to the same place, but also I think there's this idea that, it was bad PR somehow to, like, have everybody clearly being bussed, and so it was like, "Oh, just dropping off some people here," whatever, and so I think they're trying to make it look like not this, like, horde of Scientologists, because with the outer org trainees, I mean, there were a couple hundred of us, so it would I mean, for one, they don't all fit on one bus, and also I think they didn't want us to, like, walk in one big horde and attract attention in that way.
Is that something that they specifically called out when you were training at Flag to not walk in large groups together?
I don't think so. I mean, we were all leaving at the same time, but we were mixing with Sea Org members and, public Scientologists. So I think that, like, the area that we spent the most time in was, like, completely taken over by Scientology anyway, and so I don't think that they were ever saying, like, "Don't walk in groups of bigger than 5," or anything like that.
But when there was something going on, they tried to limit the size of the
Yeah,
group
I
to be
think
less obvious that you were on the move.
right, like, probably so that our group wouldn't attract the attention of someone like Aaron, and Aaron would just walk over to the big group, I think it was more about that and, just not making us targets of the black PR.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
remember when you were training, you didn't tell me, and you might have told me at the time that you guys couldn't go outside because of protesters.
Mhm.
I
Happened
remember,
a few times.
yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but was it you who told me that you were actually told like that because it was dangerous? Like there was an actual danger to it
Yeah.
beyond just being suppressive and being squirrels, right?
Yeah, that sounds familiar, and I was, anywhere between 16 and 19 when all that went down, and so, no, I wasn't really asking questions. I do think that there was, an element of like, we were doing for our safety, but I don't
Yeah.
think they, like, said, like, it was a physical danger or anything like that, but yeah, that there were, I don't know that they even ever told us there were protesters, but I think I saw them once, like, in the distance,
Do you remember
and
what you saw?
I don't remember, like, I don't know that I was able to read any signs, or maybe I intentionally didn't read them,
Yeah.
knowing that I'm not supposed to.
Yeah. Let's
Yeah.
talk about that for a minute. So Shelby was one of those trainees. If you watched Aaron's video last night and other ones, he talks about how the trainees are showing up for dinner. And so when you were a trainee
Mhm.
and these things were said and you were, a full-blown Scientologist, how did that make you? What was that like to hear that this was happening and that you couldn't go outside and how other people were responding? Did people talk about it amongst themselves?
I don't think we really talked about it a lot, it was just a fact of what we were doing. It was inconvenient, though, because we had such limited free time, and I remember, like, needing to go buy deodorant or shampoo or makeup, something like that from, like, the local convenience store and not being able to go and get it, and I think it was, like, near a holiday, I wanna say, like, Halloween or something like that, and I
Mhm.
remember wanting to buy, like, candy for my students or my friends or something. There's some
Yeah.
event going on, and I wanted to buy something from the local shop for it, and I couldn't get there, and I snuck around security, and I went anyway. That's probably the most rule breaking I'd ever done. But yeah, like, there's just, like, people posted around kind of the perimeter, and I just, found it's not like there's a literal wall or anything, but I just
Yeah.
found my way around those people, to go buy the thing that I needed. But yeah, they did a really good job of trying to keep us away. Yeah.
So when they would tell you guys this when you were there training, it just nobody questioned it. It was just, "Oh, yes, yes, the SPs, the squirrels, yes. Can't be
Right.
by the SPs or the squirrels."
Right, or, like, nobody was giving us any information to know, like, what was going on, so there wasn't even really much to talk about, and I was completely unaware that people were protesting Scientology in a general sense,
Yeah.
and so I had no frame of reference to even guess, like, what was happening. So I was just like, "Oh, something's happening, something I'm not supposed to see or be a part of, leave it at that." Like, I had no, like, room for imagination. Like, I didn't think people would be protesting, and I really did think that if they were, or there was something going on, that it was, yeah, the SPs or something like that.
Yeah, that would make sense. Get Me in Glitter says, Shelby the rebel.
Right. I walked past the security guard.
To get that candy.
Yeah. We both are candy fiends.
Yeah, totally. If you guys have been following me or following my channel and watching my videos, you'll know that as a child, when I was 9, 10 years old, trying to support my candy habit, I would sell drawings that my sister and I would do, and inadvertently ended up connecting with Mark David Chapman, who then went into the Scientology org in Hawaii right before he went and shot and killed John Lennon. But this whole thing was like driven by my need for candy.
Yeah, you needed money to buy candy.
I needed money to buy candy. All right. So that's interesting. I think that having been there and been there for the length of time that you were too, that is how that mindset was that way. And I think it's really interesting too that what you said about not questioning. You wouldn't go to a supervisor or a higher up and go, well, why? Why can't we go outside?
No. That was just like not okay. And I do think that has really shaped my personality today. I work in higher education, and I don't honestly think I could ever work in corporate, because something that's so important to me is that I work at a public institution and I have the right to ask questions about how money is spent and how decisions are made, and they are legally obligated to answer me. And so
Unlike St.
right. And so like my bosses in the past, like one thing they have to know about me is I need to know the big picture. You can't just tell me what to do. It's not going to work for me. I'm going to start like pushing back against you and asking questions. So you might as well just tell me the story from the beginning.
That is so different. That is very different from training in Scientology.
Right. I do think, and you and Lana have talked in your time together of, how all these personality traits that you have are related to the time that you had in the cult. And I really feel like maybe because of the timing that I left, I mean, I grew up in Scientology, but I left when I was 19. And then I pretty quickly after that went to college and, went to work within non-Scientologist companies, and I got to learn more about normies and, wogs. And
I found out wog is like an offensive word in England.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. Like it means like,
oh gosh.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Sorry for anyone in England that we just throw that out there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to figure that out more later. But yeah, what was I saying?
I forgot. But
Oh gosh,
it'll come back. And I see comment, Jennifer, yes, we were in Scientology. My daughter. I was in Scientology for 35 years. And Shelby, 19 years.
Yeah. Oh, I was saying that like because of the timing that I left as a young adult and immediately went into like educating myself in like the normal school system, and then like working for non-Scientologists. I think that like my personality, I would say now, is very like anti how I was taught in Scientology. I think that like I really try to be in touch with my emotions, even outside of anger, and just a lot of different things that you guys have talked about. I think that I'm kind of doing the opposite end of what I was taught, because it just became so clear that it was all so wrong that I just questioned all of it.
Yeah. Do you think that was easier because you left at a younger age? Like I left, I was 40.
I think it was easier because I left at a transition period in life anyway, right? I graduated high school. I had gone to Flag for a year and a half at that point. And then when I came back and we left, I was like, well, what do I do now? It was basically like I was graduating high school and then deciding what I was going to do.
Yeah.
And so I think that like just because of the transition period, and like it was me moving into adulthood and then realizing like, oh, okay, there's all everything I was taught was a lie, or the things that were true were, stolen from other people, just like plagiarized. And so just questioned everything at that point and just was really open to learning from my peers and colleagues at the time of like what the social norms were.
Yeah.
And so I think that I just kind of relearned them all just fresh, like when I was 20,
Yeah, because you did after we got you back from Florida and you came around and stopped believing that I was ruining your life and business by pulling you out of Scientology.
I think by the following Christmas, I was over that idea.
I think it probably took, do you think fully it took about that much time? I know like within a few weeks, you were like, or maybe you were just resigned to the fact that you were stuck.
No, I really think it was 3 months before I was deciding for myself, like, I didn't wanna be in Scientology anymore, and, we can talk about that process if you'd like, but I think it took about 3 months between you saying we're leaving Scientology and me saying myself, I am leaving Scientology.
Mm, that's so interesting. And we've done a couple earlier videos on the channel. Nancy, you tell me if it's sounding better.
Yeah.
Let's turn that off and see if that helps.
It's sweaty though.
I know I had to turn off the fan. I don't know if the fan blowing might be making us cut in and out. So
Okay.
hopefully that's better. Oh, we got to stay close to the mics. That's right.
All right.
Oh, it is a day with the technology here.
Shelby's mic is good now to move me closer.
Okay. I think Shelby's got my book that I usually
Yeah.
put the mic on top of. I think that's part of the problem. So
Do you
I'm gonna
want-
turn mine up a little bit. Nope,
Okay.
it's good. Good. I'm glad it's better. And thank you for letting us know and keeping an eye on that because like I said, I don't have my earpiece in for this. So it throws me off. All right. So I want to get to these videos. These are videos that were leaked from the Church of Scientology in Austin, in Texas, in the great state of Texas. And it's so great that these were leaked. I'm mortified. I had so many different emotions when I saw these. Mostly I was mortified. I thought it was a joke. I thought that these were spoof videos that somebody was doing about Scientology or about Scientologists. And instead I found out that they're made by Scientologists. And this is something that people thought that this was a good idea. And that's the part that I find mortifying. And one of the kids in the video that you're going to see, I mean, I feel bad for him because I feel like now that these are out, he's probably going to get in trouble, and he's just trying to do his job. But who didn't stop him and go, "Hey, don't send that to anybody. Don't put that on the internet." Yeah, they are the most cringe things ever.
Yeah,
so you
between
must
what you're saying and what the people in the comments are saying, I really want to see these videos.
Yes, those videos are cringe-tastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so because I cannot hear us, hopefully this is going to come together. So I'm going to play the first video, and the sound should be on, which you're going to need to hear. And it's just going to tell its own story, and then we are going to talk about it, and we will. And Shelby hasn't seen these videos at all, so I think this is really hilarious. How are we going to hear it though?
Oh, will it play?
Nope, it won't. It won't.
Do you want to give me your headphones and then I can hear it since you've already seen it?
Oh yeah. Test. Okay. It's on a lag though. I mean, it's doubling up, so it's going to make you crazy. So just long enough to hear this.
Okay.
All right. Now, this first video, my friends, and let's see, I can see the chat here. So let me know if you can't hear. This is Laura. And here's the funny story. I think I knew Laura. Laura, I think, was on training when I was on training decades ago. And I think she's from Mexico. It's the same person. So I find it very interesting that one, she's still in Scientology, but secondly, that she's in Austin. And in Scientology, when they're trying to open one of these ideal organizations, they grab staff from everywhere. So that's why I think maybe she's there, or maybe she just moved to Austin some time ago. I don't know, but I'm almost positive it's the girl I knew in my teenage years. And I'm pretty positive it's her. And I think it's interesting that she's talking about doing a course that somebody completely brand new to Scientology would be doing. And what she learned from this course is what's most interesting. All right, here we go.
What's happening, Laura?
I just finished overcoming financial stress. Yay!
That's amazing. What was your win from it?
Well, you learn to handle your finances correctly so you can give a lot of money to the org.
Good.
There you go.
So people that need help with money, they should do this course?
Oh, yes, by all means. It gives you a lot of information of how to become successful financially.
Good.
Yeah.
So they could come.
Oh my gosh, why would their goal of overcoming financial stress be so you can give a lot of money to the org?
Yeah. So you can give a lot of money to the org.
We only want to help you financially so that we can have more of your money.
so that you can give a lot of money to the. I did this course and I learned that I could give a lot more money to the org. So I could give a lot more money to Scientology.
Yeah. And those are people just completely out of touch. Like, how about like have more money so you can take care of your family, or like so you can live more comfortably, or so you can donate to charitable causes. I mean, I guess that's what they think the org would be, but
Yes, go spend time with your family. Go on a trip. Redo your kitchen.
Maria Martin says, believe it or not, this is the best one. The others are works of art. So this is the most chill one.
Believe it or not, this is the best one. But it's the truth. What you saw is the truth. And this is, I talk about this a lot on my channel. I try to help people understand the mindset of a Scientologist. I don't know what this is. I mean, I know I was in Scientology for 35 years.
That's something you say to an existing Scientologist. That's something you say to someone who already thinks that giving money to the org is something that they want to do. And then you can say, like, make more money so you can give more money to the org. Haha, like we're being funny, but also like it's something you actually want. Whereas, you know, if you say it to a brand new person, like they have no interest in giving their money to the org. So it's not a motivator to get them to take this course.
No, it's not. But I guess I respect the honesty. You know,
yeah.
In that,
I mean, being straightforward, and hopefully that works against them.
The part I don't get is how this was allowed to happen. You know what I'm saying? How this was allowed to be sent out. How does someone not look at that and see how bad that looks to say that? I mean, it is the truth, but that's how out of touch it is.
It also is like when you're a Scientologist and you're really deep in it, there's so much like circular reasoning, and it's like you give money to the church and then that means you'll learn more, which will make you more money, and you give more money to the church, which will learn more and be more successful and make more money, etc. But that's a mindset. I remember learning or thinking there were these courses when I was at Flag that had just come out, and they were like things that you would get. Sorry, they were auditing sessions, and the whole point was to make you like financially successful. And I remember thinking like, oh, I could be a millionaire, you know, if I got audited in this way. And I thought that was super cool and was motivated by that. But I was deep in already. That's not something you tell someone day one.
Yeah, and it looked like this is a new course. It's not that Scientologists who've been in for a long time can't take it. Laura did, but it's geared towards new Scientologists, and it would be delivered in a course room that would be specific to new Scientologists. So what were they trying to promote? Kathleen's asking, does DM David Miscavige have to approve the videos? No, not at this level. But I have a feeling that there might be a change in that procedure.
Mark Murphy says it's run like Mary Kay stands the makeup, but like Mary Kay, at least the people selling it make money. Like there's no pyramid scheme going on. No, none of the staff make money doing this.
Yeah, very little, very little. Mud is asking, did the cult release those to who? Okay, they did release them. They sent them out to people because somehow it got out and got into the hands of Aaron over at Growing Up in Scientology, which is where I linked the videos to. So yeah, somebody thought that this was a great idea.
Yeah,
it still cracks me up.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna look at another one here. Yeah, headphones in there. This is the one where I'm worried. I am worried about what is going to happen to this kid because these ones are so bad. I thought they were spoofs. I thought it was like something someone did, like an SNL type thing. And when I realized that that was not the case, that's when I was like extra mortified about it. All right, hold on. I want to make sure this is showing up.
Thank you. Yeah.
I almost should have. Well, now it's fine that you're seeing them for the first time here, but it's just so bad, Shelby. All right.
Hello. All right. So there's some exciting things coming up Now, I have been working on getting this org open for like, I don't know, since I was 16 years old, and I'm 23 now, going on to 24. So that's, what is that? That's
Too many.
years. Too many, all right?
I mean, you got to give him props for trying to, have a creative background and change some things around, like he's
Yeah,
trying.
it's like TikTok style or something.
Yeah, I appreciate that he's trying to do that.
But he looks
about 4 years actually, or sorry, 8 years actually, which is pretty alarming. So there's a couple things that I want to go over where, after doing all this myself, I'm actually getting pretty excited. And if any of you knew me or knew the old me, you'd know I was kind of like a bah humbug on this cycle at some point. But anyway, I'm getting excited. Here's the points why. So Paris is opening. That's important, right? Because the whole point of this FEBC team, I'm going to give you a little bit of insight.
So he goes on to talk about the flag executive briefing course. And did he already talk about the number? Because I can't hear the number of Scientologists that are in the Austin field.
I didn't quite hear that. So when you're playing it, I'm also hearing him again a second time as the feedback.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to understand.
Okay, so
but I don't think he said that. I heard him say that Paris already happened. That he was at some point not super jazzed about this cycle, about the whole about the way that this, like, he wasn't excited about making the ideal org happen, but now he's getting excited.
Yeah, and Mark Murphy, no, that's real. That's real. Oh, wait, hold on. There's a question here. But this dude's a puppet, can't be real. No, it's real.
No, I see the sincerity in him, and also I'm just thankful that like we weren't doing these videos when I was a Scientologist, because like I would totally have made a video like this and been, for one, he does not look like his age. Like, this guy looks like a teenager, but he's dressed like a 40-year-old businessman, and it just doesn't make sense. Or like it's dressed like the Mormon boys, and it just seems so weird and out of context. Like, why would you have this person do it? And if your goal is to say like young people are into Scientology as well, then it would make more sense to have him look like a young person and have him dress in casual, normal clothes.
I wonder if that was a uniform, like if he was in
Yeah,
the
it looked like an
Sea
ideal org uniform or something,
Org.
or like an
Usually they have
outer
little
training
gold
uniform
things on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a true believer, definitely second generation Scientologist, maybe even third. I don't think I really know, but that was just so, and I'm starring some of these questions, so we're going to go ahead and take those. Now, I have to say, you guys, I wrote with my sister and performed the cringiest song to raise money. It was so bad for the Ideal organization. So I am not one who has any business throwing stones.
I am the warrior. Cavalry. That's what it was. Cavalry. I am the cavalry. You are the cavalry.
It was so bad. It was so bad. I keep forgetting. I have to add that. Into the community. It's just, I'm worried about him. I think he's going to get in some serious trouble. But more so, I'm like, where was anybody?
Wait, why do you think he's going to get into trouble?
Because it was so bad, and he pretty much gives away that there are only 120 public in Austin. That's all they have to account for.
Oh, yeah, that's actually really bad.
Yeah, that he said that he calls it out. I mean, it's accurate. It's totally the truth. So you guys tell me, is it just now that in Scientology, the Scientologists themselves have just started telling the truth? You're going to learn this money course. So you can give more money to Scientology. And we only have 120 public in our field that we can speak to that could possibly join staff.
Yeah. Yeah, because the staff is supposed to be like 40, 50 people, like a lot.
Yeah. They're trying to get like 75 or 100.
Can we look at Cheryl's comment and see if we can fix it?
With the browser?
Yeah.
Maybe there's a second browser, but there's not.
Well, what about that one?
This is on a different computer.
Oh.
Yeah. This is just so I can see. All
right.
Yeah, pause for Andrea. I don't know if he's ever seen the light of day or in the real world. I mean, he's been flat out since he was 16 years old working on getting Austin to this ideal organization, which really, that's kind of sad.
Yeah, he may not even be in school anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I doubt that he is. I doubt that he is. I was pushed to drop out of school when I was 15 to go to Scientology, which I did, and then joined the SEA organization from there. My sister was 14. So there's definitely that mentality of not having a value on a mainstream education, that it's more valuable to study Scientology and L. Ron Hubbard. James Smith, don't worry. I keep forgetting to upload it, probably on purpose because it's so mortifyingly embarrassing.
It's only like 2 minutes long or something like that, but I listened to it, texted it to me, and I was at work, and I was just like, it was painful to listen to. It's so painful to listen to.
Yeah, it's really bad. It's really bad.
I mean, I think like I told if I was back in the mindset of a Scientologist, I would have been like, wow, this is amazing. Like you did a great job. But like as a non-Scientologist now, like it's very bad.
Yeah. I think it's just the out of touch. They're just out of touch with the rest of the world. And that's what happens when you don't engage, like really engage with people around you in a way that is true community, not just limited to Scientology and Scientologists, but truly, and not just engaging in your community when you want to sell them something or you want them to do things. That's not right either. Oh, and before I forget, Diane, I saw your comment, and girl, I'm ready to jump on that call anytime. Muds, he's dressed like a 40-year-old nerd. I feel bad laughing about that because I'm a part of my heart. I just want to pull this kid aside and be like, oh, honey.
Also, remember these people don't have money because they get paid on the income of the org, and the org doesn't make any money. And so they're having to go buy business clothes that don't fit them, and that are like not modern or anything, and usually don't look good on them. And so it's the fashion is a disaster. That was my experience at Flag as well. Just wearing all sorts of, just like technically I'm wearing a business casual shirt, so that's okay, right?
What was your guys' uniform? Like you were an outer org trainee.
Yeah,
so
I just had to dress like like business casual. Like I had to wear slacks and like a button-up shirt or something like that.
So kind of like if you're going to the office.
Right. But again, like you had maybe once a year that you actually got to go to a mall.
Yeah.
So you're just re-wearing the same thing over and over and over again.
Or trading clothes. I know in my day we did a lot of that where you would trade clothes.
Yeah, if you had people that you were friends with that had your size even, like, I did not have good style at Flag.
I feel like my style is lacking these days in ways, but it's not nearly as bad as when I was full blown in Scientology. I mean, I just look back, although I don't know, we kind of all feel like that. You look back on any picture of yourself from the 90s, if you were around then, and it's like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? True. Why did I think I could leave the house in that?
Yeah.
So there is that. There is that too. All right. So there's another video. Oh, this one just disturbs me. They all disturb me. But let me tell you why this one disturbs me. It's not, you know what? I'm going to play the video, and any of you ex-Scientologists, and Shelby, I want your take on this. I think you're actually going to be able, you might know why this disturbs me, and it's not in a way that everybody else might think that it disturbs me. So let's see here. Let's get into this here. All right. What's happening? Press that button. I'm so fast at this, you guys. I hope you're like super impressed.
You're literally taking
Oh, there's
forever.
an echo? Okay, because it's probably that's by the
Oh yeah, I'll try to go like
by the
this.
thing. This Mark says 90s. I was sporting a fro, and I bet it was fabulous. All right. Here we go.
This is like lo-fi music on.
Audio. I mean, yeah, we could do that. We could make it interesting. We could do like a vaporwave kind of thing, kind of like the 1980s aesthetic art style. Anyway, okay, cool. Mr. Dotson, I don't know what this video is going to be about, but let's do it. So, okay, let's talk about training, because you've done a lot of training. What is your, first off, state your name and your post, because I bet a lot of people out there don't know it. And whenever you talk, you got to talk to Cleve. So what's your name and post?
Okay, so I am Landon. I am the Durainer for Austin Day.
Fantastic. All right.
So this is the kid who's handling Scientology ethics. The ethics officer,
He said
basically.
INR. What did it say that
He's the director of inspection reports, but he's above the ethics officer. And he was even saying they need to get an ethics officer.
And
So
look at this guy. He's like 16 years old.
yeah.
Yeah.
But and Shelby, you're somebody who did a lot of training in Scientology. These are things that supposedly you take out into the world and life with you, right? And how you communicate and your comfort level and all that.
Well, and what I see here is like two young people trying to modernize Scientology, because the truth is that the technology of Scientology, quote unquote, is only, it's from the 50s. And so they're trying to like make their faith last in the modern world by doing these TikTok style videos. But I don't think they realize that their clothing is really working against them. It's so clearly a uniform. And it really does not make them seem like in touch with normal people.
And the way that it's being communicated, this kid is supposed to be a class 5 auditor, did he say? So that's about the highest that you can train as an auditor in Scientology at an organization like
a non-Sea Org organization.
Yeah, a non-Sea Org organization. So that's fairly highly trained in Scientology. And
yeah, I was trained to class 4.
He comes across like he hasn't even done a basic training routines course in the way that he's communicating.
I don't know. I really see him trying to be cool. That's what I see. Is like, I'm trying to be cool and casual and like I'm doing an internet video, And
I like what you said. You're really right that they're trying to modernize Scientology, and you just can't do that because you still have to follow all the dictates of L. Ron Hubbard from the 1950s and 60s and when he wrote that. And it just becomes all kind of out of touch how it comes across. It comes across as being so completely out of touch. So the part that really kind of, a lot of it mortified me, but more so I was like, if I had, now, of course, we're making the assumption that you would do these courses and actually gain these skills. But some of it, there are skills that you can gain that you would gain those same skills if you were learning these in college or in therapy or in another philosophy. The things that I found workable in Scientology, I found were available in many other places.
Yeah, they're just plagiarized.
Exactly.
They existed before Scientology. You find them elsewhere after.
So it's just this level of being very out of sync and out of touch. And part of it is these are two kids, and I'm gonna call them kids. They're kids. They're both teenagers. Well, no, the other guy's like 23 years old. The other one was
the one in the white shirt.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he said he started when he was 16, but now he's 23. Is they didn't get to be kids if they grew up in Scientology. If they grew up on staff, especially. Remember, no matter how old you are as a child in Scientology, you are a big being. You are a Titan in a small body. So there's no making allowances for children or anything like that.
Right. And of course you can like speak for Scientology just as well as a grown adult can, because you're all, the same age. And like, if anything, these young people who are able to get in these positions of power are seen as like more ethical and like more strong Scientologists because they've committed younger and have fewer obligations in their lives.
Yeah, that's true. And that comes across. And that I think is what mortifies and hurts my heart at the same time, is that I want so much for these kids to have a life and to experience the freedom that we do now after being out of Scientology.
I'm really surprised these videos are even allowed. Like, who let them post them? Are they just posting them and they're going to get get reamed later by David Miscavige or upper Scientology management? Or like, did they actually ask for permission and they said it was okay? Or is like this where Scientology is trying to go now?
There's if someone gave permission for that, Scientology is more further gone than I even thought they were.
And there are ways that you can like lock down your YouTube channel so that you could say like, I'm going to give you access to this, right? So like they could just give access to Scientologists, but they chose to make this a public video.
Well, they could have kept it within, I mean, their target. It seems like it was designed to encourage people to join staff because in Austin, for them to open, they were supposed to have this big opening as this ideal organization. They need a certain amount of staff. That's what they have left. So these videos were all trying to get people to join staff. So they thought that this would help people join staff. Jamie Casper, it looks like Golden Arrow Productions is working on a $20 budget. They need to take the money course.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh my gosh. All right, we're going to hit a couple questions here and make sure that if you can, put questions in all caps so I can find your question. All right, Jessica, did it surprise you that earlier in the day, the Church of Scientology person called Jessica a P star? Oh yeah, you know what? I miss the actual it being said, but I did hear on the video, and this was at the Hollywood Testing Center. She's talking about Jessica Palmadessa, who has over 1 million followers on TikTok, and she's on YouTube as well. I linked to her video in the description where she's called. Can we not say that word? Is that why you
I think
called
you
it
can't just
P-star?
write it. I think people often when I see online, they'll say the word, but then if they ever have subtitles or write it,
Yeah.
they'll write something else because the algorithms can like see
Okay,
the
so
writing.
it was the business that Hugh Hefner was in.
You can say it.
You can say it?
Yeah.
Okay, porn.
Yeah. As long
Right.
as it's not written.
I'm like, P word. Is that the word?
Yeah.
I think that it is. So to answer the question, it's all done with the intention to try to introvert her because she's out there in their face, communicating, sharing with the world, educating people there, helping to keep the sidewalk clear, keeping an eye out for Solomon. She's doing all these great things. And that's purely with the intention to have her look within herself and feel bad about herself. That's all they can do.
It also just shows how like outdated Scientology is as well. It's like, oh, is porn star the worst insult you can come up with? Like, it's 2024, okay? People can do sex work and also be normal, valid human beings.
Exactly. You say porn star like it's a bad thing.
Mm-hmm. Get it, girl. Get the money.
You are a consenting adult.
But yeah, I'm assuming based on the context here that she's not an actual porn star, and that they were just trying to be like, oh, like sex is bad because the sex is really bad in Scientology, like, or at least it's such a taboo topic, and like, so let's just say something to introvert you and throw you off your game, basically.
Yeah, that is 100% it. And you're right, Cheryl. Right? OnlyFans would be more accurate.
Yeah.
If they'd have said like, hey, you're an OnlyFans star, and then it'd be like, thank you. I keep telling my Tony, I'm like, hey, you know, if real estate and this whole YouTube thing doesn't work out, there's always feet stuff on OnlyFans.
Yeah, or wiki feet, I've heard.
Oh,
yeah,
feet, that's a thing.
Keep hearing about that on podcasts I listen to, that people always like, they'll find that their feet are on wiki feet already. Because if you posted like a beach picture and your feet are in it, someone will post it on wiki feet.
Really?
Yeah, so be careful what you post on the internet.
I would not consider my feet to be the kind of feet that people would want to pay money to see.
You never know. People got different interests.
That's true. All right. So let's see. We answered that question. Jennifer, where is their biggest location? Ooh, well, I
like
guess
a class 5 org.
Yeah. I mean, I think you mean like maybe in terms of Scientology. So the largest areas where Scientology is are in Hollywood, like where the blue buildings are. There's multiple buildings, and you go further down and there's more that are owned by Scientology. In Clearwater, the Flag Land Base, somebody might have a better answer to this than I do, because square footage wise, I'm not actually sure. I feel like the Flag Land Base could have more buildings.
Oh, they definitely do. They have like over 100 buildings in Clearwater. I don't remember exactly how many. At least that's a stat that was given at an event one time. But they have so many buildings in Clearwater.
So it could be. It could be. I'm not completely sure. If somebody knows, can you share it in the comments or the chat? Which one really is the biggest one? Because inquiring minds want to know. What What do you think of confident? Or what do you think of confident Chris when he came out in the nun costume? So in Hollywood at the testing center, confident Chris, who's one of the live streamers, wore this nun costume that he came out in because he had seen Scientology. One thing they've been doing at the testing center that they just started doing, which they should have done on day one, is closing the window coverings so you can still see in. You can't see as clearly. You can see you can definitely still identify people in there, but
With the coverings closed?
with the coverings closed.
Oh, okay.
And Chris was looking through and he could see what looked like a nun going up the stairs. When I saw it, I thought, oh, that's probably somebody from the Nation of Islam because they got a whole relationship with Scientology. And that's probably what it was. So I think he thought it would be funny to dress up as a nun. I think people who saw the video or follow him would find it funny that that's what that was about. That's what he was talking about. So yeah, that's all I know about that. Linda, what goes on at the Welcome Center in Clearwater? It was dead on a Friday afternoon during George's stream. Do they recruit there or anywhere in Clearwater? Can you walk in and ask questions? This might be a good Shelby question. So when you were there, may or may not have been there, they have a testing center in downtown Clearwater, and each time a run on the streets that's been there, nobody's been there. And it's not like they had time to run away. It just looks like nobody's in there. So do you know anything about this, Shelby?
Well, I remember that when I was at Flag, again, that was between 2016 and 2019, they had, I think, in the Coachman, which is the main building I was in. So it's a couple-story building with glass, and it's got like a domed top in the center. But yeah, so the Coachman had some Scientology. What are those things? They have those like big displays with like TVs on them. And the idea is like if a new person comes in, you can tour them through these TVs and they'll be convinced about Scientology. And so I think they had some of those there. So there was this impression that like we're ready for new people come. But can you imagine being like a normie non-Scientologist, a never in, and like approaching Scientology sincerely and being like, I'm just curious what you guys do here, because that happens, especially if you're in somebody's community, and like having to navigate all of the Scientology buildings along the way and somehow ending up in the Coachman. Like, that's not going to happen. Nobody's going to just walk into the Coachman. I mean, maybe they would the Fort Harrison or something, a hotel. But yeah, I don't think that ever even really happened. But yeah, I was unaware of the testing center. Never worked there.
It's one of those things that Scientology will do for Scientology.
Just for show.
Exactly. Just for show. It's all
like,
for show.
It's like Narcanon and Criminon and all of the volunteer minister group. Like all of that is, you're not, you can participate in that work and think that you are helping people, but you are not helping people. Or it might be like you are talking, you were there all day and you talked to like 3 people and maybe one of them bought a course or something like that or a book, but you're not changing lives. And that one thing you did is the only thing that's happening in that group that week. And so it's like there's no actual big impact. They're not doing anything with that money. And similar to when you were in your pageant and you were trying to do things with
Foundation for a Drug-Free World.
Right. And then they basically just kept trying to sell you pamphlets and stuff and didn't actually help you spread that message that they said that they spread.
Yeah, exactly. It's just all for show. All for show. It's like North Korea when you hear about there are fake buildings and even fake images of food, because from a distance you can't tell that it's like a movie set, except these are real buildings and there are real chairs in there, but there's no real people.
Yeah.
It's all part of Dictator David Miscavige's. He took a page out of the movie Field of Dreams and he thought, if you build it, they will come.
I mean, I think I've heard that phrase a lot of times in Scientology. Like, if you build it, they will come. And we really believed that. And we were really told that message. And so that's why people gave, they refinanced their homes and they spent their retirement savings and things like that and they went into debt and they opened up new credit cards just to pay for these buildings because they thought, well, Scientology is what's going to save this planet. And this is, it's way inconvenient and terrible on me financially. But like it's worth it if it means in the end I'm saving the planet.
Exactly. I bet all of you never in Scientology had no idea the pressure and the responsibility we carried on our shoulders as Scientologists. Is
Yeah, you're welcome. I mean, either whether it was through our labor or through selling Scientology or through giving money to Scientology, it was all toward this larger aim.
Exactly. You're welcome.
You're welcome for having saved the planet. Clearly, it's better now, right?
Surely Scientology's made it better. Just look around downtown Clearwater. Isn't a bustling stream of activity? Local businesses expanding and making money. People out there eating and enjoying themselves and experiencing freedom.
I mean, we always hear about the Florida man in the news, you know. So it's like you'd think that you'd stop hearing Florida man stories if Clearwater had really been saved.
Yeah, downtown Clearwater. Here's a prediction I have. I think that AA Run on the Street, by going and sharing about downtown Clearwater and highlighting local businesses, it could be a boost to tourism. How crazy would that be? What if people actually started showing up in downtown Clearwater to eat, to go to lunch, to go to dinner, to do these things, that it would actually increase tourism and help those local businesses, the restaurants and things that are actually really having a hard time because people don't want to come to downtown Clearwater.
Well, and if they actually had like normie businesses downtown Clearwater and it brought in normal people, then that would actually improve Scientology's numbers. Like they'd have more walk-ins and things like that. But I think they actually don't want that. I think they want like basically a compound that is just for them. I think they don't want non-Scientologists entering that space.
Them and Tom Cruise, who lives in his building, and I love that Aaron goes right by there on the tour of downtown Clearwater. Nerman, in what year did L. Ron Hubbard discover as his policy in St. Hill Ideal Org? I have no idea. I kind of remember, was the Ideal Organization an actual L. Ron Hubbard policy?
Yes.
There was a reference about it, but then David Miscavige kind of put his own twist on it.
I'm pretty sure there's a policy called like the Ideal
Organization.
Yeah, the Ideal Organization.
But I have no idea what year that would have been at all. All right, James says, Aaron said just one of Church of Scientology Clearwater buildings was 400,000 square feet. That's just one building.
That's got to be the Superpower building.
Yeah, the Superpower building is huge and also empty.
And yes, it is supposed to give you superpowers, real superpowers. I mean, we were told, and this is the thing. I mean, I was a teenager, so I like to be like, all right, I was a teenager who grew up in a cult. I didn't know any better. But like, they actually teach you that you and get auditing there and gain superpowers. Not like flying, but like, you know, reading people's minds or telling the future a little bit. Like these are things for sure that they thought that you could do, controlling the material environment around you.
If you read some of the success stories you'll see sometimes in certain Scientology magazines, it'll be things like, not worded exactly like this, but the gist is, I used my mind to change the traffic light.
My grandpa used to get mad at me for being counterintention with the traffic lights.
Explain what that is. Explain that example.
Yes. So counterintention is like having an intention that or an idea, a purpose against the thing that, you know, should be happening. So like if the intention is to have green lights the whole way on the way to the org because we're running late, then a counterintention would mean like having ideas that, oh, maybe that's not possible, or I don't want that to happen for whatever reason, and just not having also just like full intention that like it will happen. If I have anything thinking like, oh, it might not happen, that's counterintention.
Yeah. And
so like we'd be running a little bit late, and then like the lights would be hitting a lot of red lights, and my grandpa would be like, stop being counterintention. like if somehow my fault, I'm not even driving and the lights are red, and like it's so silly.
He's out of Scientology now as well.
Yeah, I think he wouldn't say that today.
No, I don't think that he would. Maria is saying, just occurred to me, if they were checking out her photo, and she's talking about Jessica Palmadessa, isn't that almost 2D? So 2D in Scientology is sex and family. So in Scientology, Sea Org members are not allowed to explore that area unless they're married. You cannot basically be touched in any fun way unless you are married to that person.
That's just in the Sea Org, though,
That's
right?
just
Yeah.
in the Sea Org. So yeah, you know that Sea Organization members then were at some point probably exposed to, and because on her YouTube channel, one of her main photos is her in a bikini. I looked at it and I'm like, hell, if I look like her in that bikini, I'd be walking down protesting Scientology in that bikini. I'd be proud of that body. But instead, it's this, oh, let's shame her. Let's make it
That's why they said that.
yeah, exactly, exactly, because of this one photo. So you're right, Maria, because what were they doing with it? What'd they do with the photo? Right? Did they download it? Did someone screen shoot it and they're holding on to it? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. But you make a really, really good point. Mark saying that the crazy knife guy is from Narconon. So on Hollywood Boulevard, there was a guy who I think the internet is currently calling him Spit Shady. He is the gentleman. You don't know about this.
No.
He is the gentleman that stood in front of the Hollywood Testing Center, ranting and raving, yelling homophobic slurs, other slurs, screaming, spitting, blew his nose on William, defending Scientology and saying that these are his homies. This is his group. He identified himself as a Scientologist. Yeah.
Is he? Do you think he is? Because that's such a
Well,
bad PR.
What people are saying is that
Unless
he was involved in Narconon, which is the drug rehabilitation program that Scientology claims to have, or they have it. They
Well,
claim to be successful.
And
so,
if he's being homophobic, it would align with Scientology's policies. So it's not really speaking against the policies.
yeah, exactly. You're right. He wouldn't be speaking against the
Right.
policies because L. Ron Hubbard was very clear about what he thought about people who were homosexual.
Yeah, he said they were perpetually in 1-1 tone scale, covert hostility, and that they couldn't be trusted, and that they'd stab you in the back at any chance they got.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is,
and he used the stereotype of like the sassy gay man to like push that to prove his point.
yeah, when he wrote about it. He writes about it in, I think, Dianetics and also in the book Science of Survival. It's very clear. And it's kind of a pain point for Scientology because they'll try to say, no, we're
open.
We're open.
Inclusive.
We're accepting. No, you're not. You try to audit out the gay. That's literally what you try to do when somebody comes in and they get to a certain point in Scientology.
That's like fundamentalist Christians. That's not normal stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. They're full of it that way. But if, the Spit Shady guy, no doubt, is a product of Narconon. So if he's someone who went into Narconon and that was his introduction to Scientology and this is how he's showing up, well, I guess that's what Narconon is turning out. That's the product that's coming out of there. Justin, isn't a reason for the downfall of Scientology that they don't allow Sea Org members to have children? The average age of Sea Org members seem to be quite high. Yes, yes, it is part of it. I think it affects. They lose people to that. I mean, case in point, right? I had a baby.
Yeah, and had to leave the Sea Org for it.
Yeah,
or I guess you were part of the Sea Org still.
Yeah, I was sent to a different organization. Back then, if we refused to terminate our pregnancies, we were sent to a smaller organization, still Sea Org members, but having to work full time at the Scientology org and then get another job to support ourselves and our children.
But that wasn't working for you, so you left the Sea organization, and that's likely what's going to happen with anyone who has children because children cost money.
Yeah,
and you need to provide care for them, and you can't do that if you're gone so many hours of the day.
Yeah, so you might have someone, the recruitment for Sea Org members, because people know that this is a rule in the Sea organization that you're not going to have children. So if you're a young person, you're making this commitment that you're not going to have children. How did you reconcile that when you were 14 and wanted to, manipulated into joining the Sea organization?
Yeah, I think I was told that during recruitment, and mind you, recruitment was like an hour or two. It was like a couple hours where I was talked to alone without you, even though I repeatedly asked to call you and speak to you, and they said no. And I thought they said no, so I had to listen to that. but yeah, I think they told me that I couldn't have children, but it was very quickly glossed over, and then instead they spoke to like my interests, and I was really into band at the time, and I played the saxophone, and they told me I could be in Golden Era Productions and play the saxophone at local at the events at Flag and things like that. So it was like a real quick thing, and then moved on. And I was 14. I mean, I had babysat a lot, and I had a younger brother much younger brother who I cared for, and I think that I mean, I think I've always wanted to have children, but I don't think it was as important to me at that time.
Yeah, you were 14 years old.
You have no context for understanding what life is going to be like or what you're going to want as an adult, and especially a kid who's never experienced the real world, really. And so, yeah, I just was like, okay, well, I guess I'll deal with that later, or it's like worth it for this larger cause.
Yeah, exactly. So here's a question. Shelby, before you left Scientology, were you ever mad at your mom for trying to get you out? I tuned in late if you've already answered.
Oh, yeah. I was furious. I was so angry. I told her she was ruining my life and Christmas, which she alluded to earlier, because she told me on Christmas Eve, like, I'll never forget, like, came down to my room, sat me down on my bed, and just basically told me that the family, meaning her, my stepdad, and my two grandparents, my grandma and grandpa, were all leaving Scientology at the same time. And I remember the reasoning was because David Miscavige beats his staff. And right then I was just like totally closed off the idea that that could even be true, because I was like, I've never heard that. I don't know where you're getting that information from, but it's obviously black PR or like, just bad data about Scientology. And I just really felt like you had been misinformed, and we're instead of handling yourself on that, we're instead like spreading this bad information and impacting my life negatively. And then I also remember the other reason was because in Scientology there's a ton of fundraising for these ideal orgs in particular, but for the IAS and other things as well. And L. Ron Hubbard says in his policies that you can't have fundraising picnics, and that you can't just like ask for money without providing a Scientology service. And so, but Scientologists do that a ton now. It's a huge, huge, huge part of being in Scientology.
I think more money is probably going to fundraising efforts, straight out donations, than money being paid for Scientology services.
Right. And so you were saying that's anti L. Ron Hubbard's policies. And so we don't, I think at the time you were saying like we would still consider ourselves Scientologists, but we don't agree with how the church is handling things.
Yeah.
And so we're leaving the church.
A lot of times people will leave Scientology in steps and layers. I had left the Sea organization, but still remained a Scientologist. I still had 3 generations of my family in Scientology. And then when my husband at the time and I made the decision, and with 3 generations of my family, to leave, it was, my husband at the time was more of the mindset of the organization was criminal, but L. Ron Hubbard and Scientology might still be okay. I don't believe he thinks that anymore. He's completely out of it. But at that time, I was done with it and needed to be done with it and felt it was a cult. But, we were trying to have a united front. So it was like, okay, we're leaving Scientology. We're leaving the Church of Scientology, but we remain Scientologists. That lasted 30 seconds.
Yeah. And what I think is interesting is that there are family members who have left who recently I have had conversations with, who they will say, okay, yeah, like I recognize Scientology was a cult. I'm glad that we left. It is for the better that we left. But I still learned XYZ things from them because, of course, like everything that you do in life contributes to who you are as a person now. And it's really hard to say like, I regret it or I wouldn't do it again, because if you like who you are today, like that was part of that process. But what I try to say though is like, yeah, Scientology did teach us some real things that were actually helpful, but they weren't from L. Ron Hubbard. Like he plagiarized them from other areas, and you can like there are much safer ways to learn that information without getting sucked into a cult. Like, take some college courses, take some community ed courses, read some books, listen to a podcast, like, talk to people, be amongst different people than yourself. And you can learn those things without joining a cult.
Yep, I agree. Jamie, do you think that Street is so protective of Solomon because he reminds him a lot of his son that passed away? Could be. I think that the beautiful thing about watching this relationship develop with Solomon and other people who are there, and Streets LA, who's William Good, is that camaraderie, and like they have a little family there. And I don't, my suspicion would be that that would play into it. How can you not? And he obviously has such a big heart, and they're really connecting. And Solomon just, I feel like in ways he's out there just living his best life. He's this kid who comes after school to protest outside the Hollywood Testing Center. People keep an eye on him and all that. Susan, what would be the reaction of the recruited college students? What would the reaction of the recruited college students be with these guys? And spoiler alert, girl in another video. What would the reaction of the recruited college students be with these guys?
So were college students recruited on video or something?
Maybe you're talking about the guys from Austin.
Yeah.
What would the reaction of the recruited college students be with these guys? And spoiler alert, girl in another video.
Like if they're trying to recruit staff.
Yeah, it's just not going to work. I mean, even if you're a Scientologist and you're a public Scientologist, you're a parishioner, you're not a staff member, you're not a C organization member. I think that even many Scientologists would see those videos and pause.
I think that if I was like their age and I was watching that video and I was a public Scientologist, like that's the only situation in which that would work on me. But likely if it's going to work on you, it's going to be because you're already the kind of person who would join staff, in which case you already have joined staff, like they have fully recruited the crap out of that area and have tried. Anyone who is likely to join staff has joined staff. So I don't know who they think their audience is. Like, do they have any other like teenagers looking for approval, and they think that like by joining staff they're going to be cool? Like, that seems like what they're trying to do, or the message they're trying to spread. But it doesn't sound like there are teenagers in that area who would be likely at all to join staff.
Yeah, and a lot of times you are recruited by your peers. It's a big way people get into Scientology, through relationship, through a friendship, oftentimes a romantic relationship. And these kids, are they really coming across in a way to other Scientologists in Austin who are younger people where it would be relatable? I don't think so.
But it sounds like, Renee is saying here in Texas, they're trying to recruit college kids. So it sounds like just even like non-Scientologists are just going to college campuses, which a lot of faiths do. They go and spend time on college campuses and try to, get students into their religion or to go to church and things like that. So I suppose I could see that being effective in person, but I do think that college students don't have money. So I guess that's why they would join staff, is because they could want to do the services and do it for free, and not recognize like what they're fully committing to, or realize like what a crap show it is.
And that's their recruitment tool. One of the videos, there's 5 of these videos, by the way. I just shared 2 or 3 of them. I just couldn't take it anymore. Originally I thought, I'll just show parts of all 5. I just can't. I watched them. I just can't do it. In one of them,
you linked them all in this video, right?
I think I linked 3 or 4 of them.
Okay.
But you can find them on Aaron's channel over at Growing Up in Scientology. And the thing is, what they're trying to do, they're trying to connect. And one of the appeals for people in joining staff is they're told that you can do Scientology at a discount, which is true, or for free, which is almost true. Because as a staff member, you sign a 2.5 or a 3-year contract. As a contracted staff member, you get a discount when you pay for auditing services at different churches. So there's this appeal that way. That's why one of the videos, he talks to a woman because he was saying, sometimes people think that that you don't get up the bridge when you're on staff. Okay, number one, he's going to get in trouble for that, because a rule in Scientology that he isolated if you never repeat the enemy line. And the enemy line is staff members don't go up the bridge in Scientology.
Mhm.
I
But
think
it's true.
it's true. I think I got to kind of sidebar for a moment. I am a little conflicted because in ways there's a part of me that my Scientology mentality and cult mentality when I was in, I'm offended that they did such a crappy job. I think that, I mean, if I'm being completely honest, because I do feel I'm mortified by this and I feel bad
By
for
the
them.
kids?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is
There's
that,
like
bug?
a gnat in the room.
A gnat by gnat. But you know what I'm saying? I know that, well, I don't know. I just know that that's what I'm feeling, that there's a part of me that is very disappointed.
Well, the part I'm disappointed about is not the kids. I think that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
They're clearly trying to use the aesthetics of TikTok to like speak to people. And I think based on like their age, they're doing the best they can. Although the clothing, I don't think they realize how dorky they look and how unrelatable they look in those clothes to like people their age.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they don't make it look cool, right? So they're not doing well in that way. But what I'm offended by is the older people saying, do this financial course so you can give more money to the org. Like, it's just so out of touch. It's like they didn't even try. It's like they're like, let's just take one. Cool, that's good enough. Let's post it.
Yeah.
Like there's no planning. They're just like
Yeah.
winged it. Like, make an effort.
Yeah,
like
make an
definitely
effort.
wasn't Golden Era production.
You know, that is the thing, is these are the people who are just moments from opening an ideal organization in Scientology, and this is the product you turn out.
The thing is that they are so out of touch with the real world that they don't know what normal looks like.
Yeah,
they can't imitate it because they're told to stay off the internet, not look at Scientology stuff. And that probably means Scientology stuff comes up everywhere, right? So they're probably not on TikTok. They're probably not on Instagram and like even watching YouTube videos and things like that. So they don't know the way things are done and how to model it in a way that looks natural for 2023, 2024.
That's very true. Renee, it seems like the college kids would not be ideal recruits, though. One, they know how to use the internet. Two, they're taught to use technology, information, and to question what they're told. Exactly. And this is the problem that Scientology is running into. And doesn't it kind of make sense that why they wouldn't want kids in Scientology to go to college, to go off and have this freedom and experience these things? Because they might actually find out. And I've seen that happen where it actually did happen. A couple of those kids came back. It's almost like the Amish will send at a certain age, you get to go take off for Rumspringer.
Yeah.
I could be saying this wrong.
Rumspringer?
Yeah. Rumspringer. It's a thing the Amish do, and you get to take off for like a year or 2 years, party your butt off, do whatever you want to do.
Well, the idea is not to go party your butt off, but I think people do that. The idea is that you go experience the non-Amish world, the rest of the world, and you kind of make a conscious decision, having experienced that world, that you want to come back to your community and be part of that community because it's important to you. I think a lot of people do end up going partying because you're going to meet other young people and you can, and like you want to experience the full world. But yeah, so that's like the idea behind that.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
But Mark Murphy had said something earlier about kids these days are too savvy to work for free. They will fail. I mean, there's things all over the internet about on Reddit. Gosh, I can't antique work, right? It's just we live in a capitalistic society and I work for money. Okay. So how are you going to get these kids to work for free?
Yeah.
Except for it could be something similar to like AmeriCorps, right? Where they are working for very little money, but there's like this experience and it looks really good on your resume and things like that. So I wonder if they could be convinced in that way.
That could be one of the manipulation tactics that, hey, do your 2.5, do your 3 years, because staff members don't sign a billionaire contract. And then, write your own ticket kind of thing. I've known that that's been a recruitment tactic in the past as well. Lisa, those videos were actually real? Yes, girl. Yes. I thought they were a joke or a meme. I wish that they were.
Kind of makes me want to make a joke one. Just like a parody.
There's part of me that wants to redo it and do it right.
Yeah, do it better. Yes.
And that's what I'm saying about kind of this really, I have such a mixed emotions and a reaction to this, because on one hand, it's stupid and it looks horrible and they're doing a bad job. But at the same time, the old Scientologist in me is offended that this is who's representing the Church of Scientology. It's so it just continues to go downhill. But at the same time, this is also great because it really shows us where they're at, which is completely out of touch with the rest of the world. That's the thing at the end of the day. Now, we're going to wrap this up because we've been at it for about an hour and a half now. Please, please, please make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And even if you have, check that subscribe button. Shelby's going to join again. We're going to get more into, I think we're going to talk more about what her experiences was like, that making that transition from being in Scientology to being out of Scientology, because it was different for Shelby. For me, I had 2 years of planning from the moment that I decided I was going to leave.
Well, first you made the decision, then you had 2 years of getting other people out. Yeah, but the moment that I learned we were leaving was the moment that we were leaving, right? And I was
Get in the car, Shelby. We're leaving Scientology.
I mean, I was already in our home, but yeah, I mean, I was essentially forcibly removed. And I had the option to go back. You did make that clear.
Yeah, I did.
But I
did.
had no means to actually do that in reality.
She had no money.
No
So I
money.
told her, if you want to go back to Flag, that's fine, but I'm not paying for it.
So I got a job and tried, but so we can talk about that later. But yeah, it was different because I did have to kind of process outside of the context of Scientology on whether or not I wanted to continue.
Yeah, that's the thing. And everybody leaves Scientology in their own way, in a different way. And I think it's really interesting to hear these stories of how they process and continue to, because we've been out now for 13 years. And I feel like the biggest change for me has happened within the last 2 years. Within the last couple of years, it's like I just needed that much time to be away from it. So thank you, everybody, so much for being here. And please tell us in the comments where you're listening from. I'm still trying to impress my grandson. I'm like, Oliver, look, Grandma has somebody watching her from Russia. All he wants to talk about is Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast is so great. I had to go look up who Mr. Beast was. That's my competition, and it's stiff competition. So thank you for being here wherever you are. I hope that you have the most amazing cult-free day today.